Hey everybody, it's Steve again. Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about today's environment. In America, we have a very confused political environment. We've got, it's absolutely divided. There's one side that believes one thing, one side that believes another, and there's absolutely zero room for common ground. The problem with that is that leads to nobody ever having anything in common. And to be honest with you, Christians are suffering from this same thing. And it's because a lot of Christians have taken their focus off of the one thing that's a constant. So, what is a constant? A constant is something that never changes. Politics are going to change, and people are going to change, and their viewpoints are going to change. But there's a constant in all of this that we seem to forget all the time, which is Jesus. And it should stop separating us and start bringing us together. The big problem with that is that we get caught up in today's world. And that's a totally different subject. I'm going to put some emphasis on that in a separate video. But today we're going to talk about what a constant is and why that constant of God's word is so important. So first of all, we've already covered what a constant is. A constant is something that never, ever changes. God's word, no matter how many times you read it, is not going to change. The only thing that changes God's word is people's, man's, woman's, whatever you want to call it, but humans' interpretation of God's word. That's the only thing that changes. The original text is the original text is the original text. You cannot change that. The only thing you can do is say, well, I'd like to interpret that a little bit differently. Kind of like what's going on with some of the laws in our country and some of the rules that we live by in our country. Things are changing. We want to make changes to this. We want to make changes to that. But without a constant, we never have anything to put a platform down on to agree about. And that is a huge issue with us today. So another example of a constant is a baseline. For anybody who's into science or into doing experiments, you have to have a baseline. If you're into exercise, you have a baseline. I ran this mile. It took me 18 minutes. Next time I run it, I want to run it for 13 minutes. Then I want to run it for 10 minutes. I want to run it for 9 minutes. That baseline, the constant, is never going to change, just like God's word is never going to change. Jesus is another constant, never changes. And because God's word is how we learn about Jesus, the two are completely interconnected. So why is this so important? I've touched on it already, but we're at a point in Christianity where we have progressive Christians and we have traditionalist Christians and we have the rest of them, like me, that are in the middle going, what have we seriously done to faith in and of itself? Because faith is supposed to be just a relationship between us and Jesus and period, end of story. Well, that's true. That's the basis of faith. That's the simplicity of faith. That's the way things should be, is it's based on a relationship. But does that mean we have to stop trying to be better people? No, we should constantly be trying to display Christ in our lives to others. Now, just because you believe, will you get in heaven? I don't write the rules. I don't know. There's a constant that says if you believe in him, you will gain the kingdom of heaven. So, hey, more power to you. But I want to bring others with me. And that's hard to do in today's society because everybody's starting to bash Christians. You and your right-wing beliefs, or you and your progressive beliefs of Christianity. And, the Pope says this and some Baptist pastor says that. We really have to get past that junk. We have to get back to the constant. So what does it mean for us in general? Well, what it means for us in general is unless we get back to the constant, we are going to be tugging at each other's throats. And the only being out there that enjoys that, well, it ain't God. I promise you that. The world is loving seeing us tear each other apart. And we are in for some serious different times. In America, at least, we are in for some serious different times for Christianity. And part of me thinks, hey, it's about time. We need to we need to really be pushed. Whose faith is real and whose isn't. And we're going to find out over the next several years. I truly believe that. Now, others are going to tell me I'm crazy and that, this is okay, that's okay. I've even had people tell me that it's okay to have an abortion as a Christian, and abortion should be accepted as a Christian value. And I about lost my mind because, well, that's just not what the Bible reads. Does the Bible say thou shalt not have an abortion? No, but you read into that Bible and find that constant that keeps us going. And you will find out that abortion is not acceptable. Every life is very important to God. Now, the world is our home right now. It's temporary. We are going to heaven. I truly believe that. Some people believe, some Christians even now believe that if you're a good person, you can go to heaven. You don't have to have a relationship with Jesus. You don't have to, know anything about him. You don't have to call on his name and accept him. That's just not what the Bible reads. I'm sorry. The baseline is there. We rely in the United States on the Constitution for a lot of things. The First Amendment guarantees my freedom of speech. To the federal government, it does. You're absolutely right. It absolutely guarantees you the right to say what you want, but it does not protect you from the consequences. And it does not say that a business needs to listen to what you say. They can lock anybody out they want to. Now, is that right? No, that's going to go through the court system. I guarantee it after this year. But again, we go back to the basics. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. I believe that it relates to every individual can own a firearm and protect their own family. And I am a firm believer in that. Now, how many times has that been challenged? It's gone to challenge every 2 to 3 to 4 years. That thing just comes up and people start rearing their heads and going, guns are bad, guns are bad, guns are bad. Hey, guns in the hands of bad people is bad, let me tell you. Think about if you didn't have a firearm and your government came in to overthrow you. That's kind of even worse, quite honestly. Think about that guy who's running into your house and he's trying to get in so that he can rape your daughter and kill somebody. That's bad, right? You want to be able to protect yourself from those things. Thou shalt not kill is in the Bible. Yeah, you're right, it's in the Bible. But if you read the true interpretation, it's thou shalt not murder somebody. And I'm not murdering somebody when I'm protecting my family. I am protecting my family. Now, how do we react to the constant? That's the key. Christians need to get back to reacting to the constant as, just like it says in Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Period. End of story. Doesn't say anything different. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Let's get back to being in the constant and quit worrying about all the churn that's going around. Steve Becker, gone.